Hey guys, welcome back out to the garage. Really not going to be showing anything different on the cylinder head that I've been messing with up here on that challenge for the 450 CFM. I haven't done any more to it. I've been trying to catch up on some other stuff that I keep getting myself behind because I keep jumping around too much. But I did want to talk about this big, ugly, huge port that I worked on. You know, I started doing this, messing with this about 5 years ago. I haven't touched it in a long time, and it flows 421, but it's just huge, and it'd be hard, like I said in my previous videos, one of the about 4 videos ago or whatever. I mean, you'd have trouble trying to get gasket to seal and an intake to work and everything, but that was just something I was playing with. Okay, but this is the one we're flowing at the moment and working with. But what I want to talk about is I don't really have a big YouTube channel, okay? I don't have a lot of subscribers and views and stuff like that. But I do take a lot of still pictures and I put them on these groups that I'm on, these 335 series, Cleveland groups and the tall deck groups. And I get a lot of feedback from them as far as through Messenger, and some of them do have my number. They'll text me or they'll call me, and what they're wanting or what's a lot of them are saying is real similar to each one that I talk to, is they kind of want me to show more actual doing the port work. Okay, that's not a problem with me. You know, the problem is I don't know how good the quality would be, because most of you know I'm just totally old school. So I really don't know if I have the right setup for me to sit there and do a little bit of porting and you be able to really see what's happening through that camera, because I can't edit and stuff, all right? But I have no problem showing that technique, showing the tools I use, because all head porters have a favorite tools, and stuff that they use. The majority, I believe, use air. I'm not an air guy. I only use air on a little cleanup, okay? If I just want to do a real quick touch somewhere, I don't mind using my air die grinder with whatever tool I need on the end and just do a little deal. I do most of my porting is electric, okay? Electric die grinder, electric 1/4 inch Dremel, okay? And I use a foot pedal, okay? Most guys don't use foot pedals. Even their variable speed, they use their hands. Well, I use a variable speed foot pedal, which leaves my hands relaxed, okay? I watch guys porting on these YouTube stuff, because I'm into that porting stuff. I like watching it. And you could tell they're tensed sometimes. And it's like, be relaxed, you know what I mean? Don't get all crazy. So, not all of them, don't get me wrong, okay? It's just, to me, don't wear yourself out when you're porting. And I believe depending on what you're doing, let's say you're porting the whole set, exhaust and intake, again, like I spoke in earlier videos, I would start on the exhaust end. The exhaust is usually a little bit more tense to do than the intakes, only because of room and depending on whatever tooling you have. So, and I don't just port Fords. Since the 80s, I've been messing around with a grinder all the way till date, let's just say. And I've ported lots of different brands, even import, okay? And even light diesel, motorcycles, all kinds of stuff, all right? So it's not just this stuff here. So I'm gonna, maybe in the new year when I get more caught up, I really gotta get caught up on stuff, and I kind of messed up by getting a hot heavy on this here, and then it's kind of pulls me away from that. So I haven't touched this. We're still sitting the way it was on the last video, okay? And, but I will try to show other stuff. And I do want to say something about this big port here also. I'm gonna move the camera up here. This port flows 421, but you'll see like I had pointed out, it's just a big port, okay? I mean, look at that thing. It's huge. And it's big all the way in. I mean, all the way in there. It's huge, okay? But there's no gasket seal here very much. Look at that. Intake's gonna be a little bit of a problem. The gasket's gonna be a problem. So I want this one here to flow, the big numbers, but have some surface, okay? I was playing around with that about 5 years ago when I started messing with that. And I broke through here, up here, and just the last time I messed with it, I just broke through right here, and I haven't put no clay on it or anything yet. But that was after I floated at 421, okay? And then I never did cover that little hole up and try it again after I touched it. So what I want to show though is we consider this a huge port, okay? That's the 4V big port. This here, okay, is the 4V Cleveland port. Because this was just to give you more an idea. Okay, so there we go. That's the port. This here, surprisingly enough, is a 2V port, okay? That's a 2V port, which big difference. But the 2V port, it just barely rubs, I can maybe get it to stand there, is the pinch point, okay? I don't know if you can see in there. It won't quite lock in there. Let me see. But you have the pinch point right here because the push rod goes through here, all right? So basically, if you look real close, that's the pinch point. It looks like there might be a little bit of a gap, but that's the pinch point. Now, go back to this. There's that, right? Go back to the JD port. That's now the pinch point. So the pinch point, basically for the JD port here, I think it's just huge, isn't it? So the pinch point for the JD port is the actual entrance of the 4V head. All right, so I just wanted to talk about that a little bit. You can see in there, that's a big, you can see way back in there. That thing is huge. There you go. Look at that. So, anyway, I just wanted to talk a little bit. It's just a talking video today, okay? I don't know how to do live, videos or like that, so I'm doing it this way. All right. All right, guys, so anyway, I am gonna try to show some porting, actual porting, because I just don't never show that part. I always show as I've done some, only because it's just easier for me to do with the camera. But I'll try to show some and some of my technique and where I like to start from. Just like on this one here, I started in the guide area because that to me is the worst place to work out of a port. Okay, that's just my opinion. Working all that guide and all that. That's why the first thing I did was machine the guide out. Okay, and then lower the guide with my machine. Okay, instead of sitting there and you see these guys grinding that guide down and everything. I can't say, I don't know if it's called cheating or what, but I just use my seat and guide machine and I take the guide out. That's less material I gotta work with. And I lower it to where I want, okay, with the seat and guide machine with other cutters, which gives me the head start. So, Then of course there's still a lot, as you can see in the you knew I had to use my hands a lot for it. And so anyway, and I'm a foot pedal guy, like I said. So variable speed foot pedal is the ultimate. If you get a foot pedal variable speed, electric, and hook it with the right diagram that works for you, it's great. Just like a lot of times we use a drill, they say, oh, you can't port with a drill, don't spin too fast. I've touched stuff with a drill, and most drills and a lot of drills are variable speed. Okay, just depending on what you're doing. If you're getting really crazy and trying to cut something really huge, yeah, maybe the drill might not like it, but you can use a drill. There's so much stuff you can use, okay? So, anyway, that was what I wanted to talk about. So, in the new year, I'm gonna continue still working on this throughout my work that I have, but in the new year, maybe I'll go ahead and start showing doing some of the work, some of the techniques and the way I do it. And you'll find out that I'm a lot more comfortable, I think, than I've seen some guys. To me, they wear themselves out. That's the only way I can explain it, okay? They're probably not, it just looks like it maybe, but I'm a real comfortable guy. I sit down, I have a big light with a big magnifying glass, it's huge, with a big light around it. The whole works, I mean? I can see everything perfect, all right? And I just cruise on it. And that's just me. So that again, I'll show like I say, sometime in the new year. And so anyway, that was really all I wanted to talk about today. And as we're talking about ports and air and stuff, we used to have a saying throughout the 90s when I was more in my prime doing this stuff. And we used to always say, where air flows, horsepower grows, okay? That's gonna be my new thing again. So I'm gonna bring it back. So if we get air to flow, the horsepower will grow, all right? So, but to make that really work, you just got to have the right combo to work with that airflow, right? So you can have a big port like this and be a dog unless you build a lot of cubic inch or turn a lot of RPM, right? So anyway, that's all I want to talk about today. So I'm gonna get back on that. When I do some more on this, I'll be sure to update you guys on that, okay? But I do want to finish other work I have in here. I'm starting to have to step over stuff, and it's getting a little crazy. All right, I need to get it out the door. All right, thanks guys. Be safe out there. I'll see you on round 2.